Alrighty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And let's get that fact check spreadsheet up there. As you can see, the Swiss moving down in the Hinky Ashies, so the reds. Notice that we did not have a red yesterday or a green, and today we're doing the same thing. And I've seen that in a few products, which is catching my eye. I'm trying to think what was the last one. I think it's the S&P 500. Yeah, I think it's the S&P. Oh no, wait a minute, there it is. I see the red dots now. They're down at the bottom. Oh, I see. Somehow or another they've gotten. Let me recycle that thing. See if we can clean that up. Get them. There they are. Okay. Yeah, I saw that in the S&P 500 today. I really found that to be curious. Whereas with the Chicago with the J4X, you can see here the red, hinky ashy bars for the last couple of days. The pressure is on, which means the Swiss is going up against the value of the dollar. The dollar is going down, and we did on line 25. You can see it. The dollar ETF is in a daily sell at the moment. It closed there last night, so that pressure is on. With the amount of news and information coming out, it's awful hard to say one way or the other what is the the best way of trying to interpret what to do with all this action that's coming. And there is a lot of action. GDP, the Fed coming out and telling us what they're going or not going to do. There's all kinds of fun things going on there at this point. It's getting wild and woolly. So, anyway, what do we got going on here? You can see here, that is the pressure now a little bit on the dollar. I keep on hearing, I try to look at the currency pairs, the currencies overall, from a non-U.S. point of view. And we're hearing, again, you don't hear it much in the media, but there's a lot of pros out there talking like, we don't want the loss of the king dollar in the sense of, it being respected. We do like to see the king dollar lost in the sense that it's always the place to run to, but, because it skews the fundamentals. And the fundamentals, as Janos has always pointed out, they're harder and harder to trade on nowadays because of the quantitative easing. It's so short-lived that lasts minutes, sometimes seconds, not hours and days, which has been really irritating. So, anyhow, that's what we see here with looking at the Swiss against the dollar this morning. The pressure is on against the dollar. And when we look at Chicago, that is Chicago, that's right. You see here, downwardly pressure here, the weekly pressure there for going on a second week now. And you see here on J4X, the Hinky Ashies are heading south. The white line are 2. Stochastics, the fast and the slow, battling with each other. Showing us that there is weakness, not strength. All right, let's drift over to. Let's see. Let's go to the cable, or should we go to euro? Let's see what the cable's doing, and we'll go to euro from there. Right there's the cable. We knew it was going to try to battle its way back to the 38s. That seems to be the real safe zone. It was amazing that it got down into the low 36s, but then again, with the amount of capital just swashed, it's just pouring in. We have 4 point some odd trillion over here, just waiting to get into the marketplace somewhere. That type of action, or that amount of potential, I guess you could call it potential energy versus kinetic energy. That much potential is just amazing, and it puts power into the markets and into the currencies and into anything else that looks like it's the place to be at the moment. So there's the cable lifting up, showing firmness. Here is the cable here, doing it on the Chicago Quant, same situation. And you can see the weekly is trying so hard to get back up into the buy. Been in a daily buy now for 4 days, so it's showing some solid buying. They're buying the cable, they're selling the dollar, and they see it as the place to be as a return on assets. Something that's very rare nowadays. As you can see on line 13, also on the fact check, there it is. 3 full days in a daily buy, 6 weeks in a sell. Maybe this is the one that's going to flip it, and we'll go back up into the 40s. I don't know. Again, all logic says yes, but reality says don't think so. When you have the Federal Reserve doing whatever the government wants it to do, it makes it awful, awful hard to take fundamentals and try to think it's going to go much longer than, say, a few hours. Now we'll take a look at the euro. Let's see, where's it at? Right there. Euro yesterday, or the last couple of days, looks like it was trying to get some strength into it. You can see the Hinky Ashies are up. You can see the stochastics, the battle between the two stochastics is up. You can see in Chicago Quant, is that it? No, that's not it. Let's get the euro up there. There it is. You can see the euro went into a daily buy 2 days ago. It's on line 14 on our spreadsheet. You see, oh, what's that? Anyway, you can see there 7 weeks in a sell and 2 days in a buy. It's trying, and it's getting a little hump in there right now. These actions, I guess we've got to wait. In many ways, you don't fight the Fed, you don't fight the central banks. They are now the buyers of last resort. They are I guess the yes or the no. It comes down to, and that's a really strange thing for a lot of us, is that for hundreds of years and thousands of years, it's hard to believe we can say thousands of years, but for thousands of years, paying interest on money borrowed was a normal thing. To actually have to pay interest to the people that are borrowing the money from you is the norm. But to actually pay interest for the people who are lending the money is relatively insane. But it just shows you how money has changed its nature. And again, that brings us always to the news story, and that is the cryptos. And that is what they are. They're crypto assets because they're fighting the oddity of 5,000 years of paying interest. And it's recorded in the Bible and so forth. To pay interest when someone lends you money, you give them interest on it. And in this case here, you can see. Matter of fact, you can see in the advancement of the thought, going into the Quran, they outlaw the paying of the interest, and so it's flat. You just pay it back. In this case here, they're forcing the lender, the people who are lending money, to pay interest. Again, it's wrong. It's just crazy. So, anyway, that's what opens the doorway to the crypto universe. They're not currencies. They're an asset. And they can be used as a currency, just like gold can be used as a currency, or soybeans can be used as a currency, or crude oil can be used as a currency, but their true nature is an asset. In this case here, they are an asset that is separated from the central banks. And I wonder what they're doing to the Bitcoin today. I noted yesterday with the news that came out that brought it back down 6% from the 14% move. Let's see what the Bitcoin is doing. Is that today? I guess that is today. So it's back up over the 40 area again. We went into a now where did that come from? That wasn't there yesterday. That makes not much sense to me, but we have this on the fact check spreadsheet. I think we're up to 6 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be 7. I don't know. Something's wacky about that. We're in a daily buy. We did not have that in the sell yesterday. I don't know where that came from. It's almost like as if the exchange plays around with the data and the information, the open, the high, low, and the close, and changes the parameters of it in the middle of the night, or throughout after the markets are closed, which is very, very strange. Let me just give it a Control R and see if we can get something cleaned up there. No, it doesn't do it. And you can see here the weekly is battling its way through the 0 line. it is, you know, clearly through the zero line, which is right there. You see it right there, the zero line. Oh, you can't see it. Let's do that. Right there. Yeah, it's cleanly through the zero line. So you couldn't even take the short if you wanted to. But in this case here, it's last night we sent it out as a buy. That's the amazing part. All right, so let's drift over to that. We did the euro, right? We did the euro. Let's just double check it. Yeah, the euro is trying to roll over a little bit in here, which is odd. You know, you got the cable going up. You got the Swiss franc gaining value. Both of those are gaining value, and we got the euro rolling over again. The euro is a real tangled situation, I guess you could say. I think that's the way to look at it. It's very tangled. Let's jump over to the Turkish lira. It's a quiet morning. No one's saying or asking anything. And let's see what it looks like there. There's the Turkish lira. Turkish lira against the dollar, going into a second day of the buy. You can see the strength coming into the weekly right there. And we'll take a look at it on J4X, see what the stochastics and the Hinkiashis are trying to tell us this morning. Right. Where are you? Right there on the dollar Turkish lira. So we've got a couple reds going on there, whereas we're playing with our greens at the moment, as you can see. A volatility first, and then a green, and then it looks like nothing for today. You know, it's in that neutral. We'll wait and see this to turn up. Now we drift over to the euro against the Turkish lira, which we find to be very informative. Definitely giving you a heads up on the action coming always. And in this case here, it's over the 10 area, you can see. There it fills in. You got some movement on the upside. We go and look at it through the quant. Right there. And you can see it climbed into the daily buy yesterday. It's flirting with the, well, it's still there with a red dot. Let's just give it a control R and clean it up a little bit right there. Yeah, it knocked out the red dot. And you can see here the weekly is trying to turn up. It's hitting the bottom time manifold. And we'll see if this thing, if today's what, Wednesday. It's happy to hump day, right? So we've got 2.5, basically 3 trading days to see what happens to this thing. They could put some juice into this, and the next thing you know is it's moving up into the buy at the end of the week. We'll see. I don't always trust the dollar as being the leader of that particular product. It kind of reminds me of the way the Zolty and the dollar trade. You can see the Zolty has how do I describe this? The Zolty has like a morning market or an early market, and then it changes its characteristics in the afternoons a lot of times when the Americans are the last of the traders around to trade it. So, you know, it's not that far-fetched. Some of these products have those characteristics. 2 different types of markets in one day, and it goes on. We've seen that for years. All right. From there, we go to the Canadian, and there's a Canadian. It's just been in a real sideways chop. Shifted into the daily buy there yesterday. You can see that on line 20. Yeah, line 20. Now I'm looking at the Swiss. That Swiss is wrong. I must have hit that button twice. And let me just go back to the Swiss real quick. Yeah, because it's in a daily sell now for is it 2 full days. 2 full days, going on a third. That's why it's a manual thing I'm doing here. So I put the wrong button. That's half of it. Sometimes I hit the wrong button for a different keyboard. And a 2 there. There we are. And that's how it should be right now. A couple days in a sell, just like the way it's showing on the J4X. just take a quick look at it again there. Yeah, there you go. All right. We've made that better. Oh, there we go. I got middle-aged. Let's see, what do we got here? You think the euro will follow the Swiss in strength? You know, I'm not. Let's investigate that. I like that idea because it's in the back of my mind too. Because I see the cable lifting up. I see the Swiss. That's what I just said a few minutes ago, and then I see the euro, which looked yesterday like it was trying to lift. You know, we got into a buy and so forth. It was joining the gang. You know, and then all of a sudden it's rolling over again. Let's see. Let's finish off what you said there against the dollar. The weekly Swiss already crossed. Looks like bullish wedge forming on a daily euro. Okay. Let's take a look at that. I'm a big fan of wedge. You know, I like the triangles. We've talked about triangle theory a lot throughout the years. We talk about Jones, R and Elliott, and W.D. Gann. The three of them opened up an operation in Manhattan in the 1940s. Jones is the father of, he's considered the very first hedge fund. And it was done so secretly that it took decades before anybody knew it. And then they discovered that W.D. Gann and R.N. Elliott both opened up offices on the same street in Midtown Manhattan as Jones, and there's the classic rumors. There's very few stories coming out of it, but there's been rumors from old heads back about 15, 20 years ago that the three of them worked together, theorizing with you know, Gann and his Fibonacci and the spiral, combining with pairs trading, and then at the same time utilizing W.D. Gann, who was really old at that point. But they actually had independent offices literally next door to each other, so it's obvious that they were participating. There's no way no one was up in the Midtown Manhattan 40s area block, you know, running financial. You know, it's not like it was a center of financial markets. So if the three of them literally had next door offices, and then I think it was Jones, it was about 4 doors down. There's no way in the world they were on that same street for more than anything than a collaboration. And Gann and Elliott in the later years talked about triangles and side chops, or they refer to it as a resting. Like you're going to sleep, you're going to rest for a while. So that I'm always fascinated. I know some of the rules that they wrote about, and it's always interesting to look at those things. So let's jump over to that. So let's see. So Middle Age says against the dollar, the weekly Swiss already crossed. So let's take a look at the weekly Swiss. Right there. Yeah. So weekly Swiss is in a sell. So we see that, which means it's getting stronger. Now today it's obviously lifting up here, but it's in a daily and a weekly sell from this territory up in here in the 92s. And so it drove itself down into the low 90s, mid 90s, I guess. No, not even. Low 91s, that's all it did. It went down about a full handle. And so when you look at it, listen, when we scrunch it up, you're saying there's a wedge there. In this case here, it's almost like a resting thing. It's more of a channel. And I guess you could find that, and then you can see it's a sloping channel. That's what they refer to that. Was it John Murphy used to talk about sloping channels. And I recommend anybody who loves trading markets and technical analysis to buy John Murphy's book. I think John has passed on, but John was an old market technician for, I think, Shearson at one time and E.F. Hutton. And then he had his own TV show on FNN and CNBC. And when CNBC got bought, when FNN merged with CNBC, I think John Murphy had a good chunk of FNN stock. And so then he went on his own totally, you know, writing a encyclopedia of technical analysis. And there's a John Murphy book out there called the Encyclopedia of Technical Analysis, and it was updated all the way up until I think John passed maybe back in 2012 or 2009, or right around in that region in there. But this is what he referred to as a descending triangle, and Middle Age is saying that let's see, let me read his thing again there. The Swiss and strength against the dollar, the weekly Swiss already crossed. Okay, let's take a look at a. Do you mean weekly in our math, or you're looking at a weekly chart and you're seeing triangle? And I'd like to look at that. Let's investigate that. Let's do it through the J4X. We'll put a weekly chart up there. And see if we see this triangle that you're talking about. And how far back it goes. I mean, Robin's looking at one. Yeah, the first edition. Yeah, I bet that was something. John was a really sharp guy. I only talked to him once or twice. I think he jumped in on the show with me and John Bollinger once or twice. But he was really, really sharp when it came to technical analysis. I respected him. We had a lot of old guys like that on the old days on the trading floors. Okay, so are you looking at this type of triangle with this actually? Let's see if I can draw a line of that. Where's that line tool on this thing here? Let's make the whole page that for a second. There we go. Are you looking at this as a triangle and there? Let me see if I can get a line. There it is, the drawing tool. So are you looking from here to there? What's that? Oh, I see. It's how that does it. Are you looking at that, and then looking at here to there, and that as the big triangle? Is that the triangle you're looking at? Well, there's no doubt it's a decline. Let's see, what do you say? It's a weekly quant in Swiss and the declining wedge on the euro. Well, it's a declining wedge which shows strength in the euro. And then, I don't know how to get rid of that, but I think I'm just going to leave it like that. And then maybe we'll investigate this a little bit more often. Let's go look at the euro on the same basis. And that wedge is rising, which is what's that doing? Let's see what it's doing. It's not there yet. Okay, yes. That wedge is a rising, well, that's a little bit different. This is a long channel right here. You got a long channel right here. Let's play with that a little bit. You've got a very long channel developed here. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try that again. So you got this really diminishing channel like that right there. And it's doing it on the top very cleanly. Then it breaks out, there's a breakout here, and now you have a rising channel. It's not even a channel because this can't take out this high, and this low is getting ready to take out this low, which is starting to insinuate it's going to act like this again. Yeah, that's an interesting question you've got going on there, because you would think that the euro and the Swiss would be moving in the same direction against the dollar. But it looks like the euro is fighting that. That's why we've moved. Remember, we always used to open up with the euro against the dollar. But we have found over the last 6-7 months that the Swiss is more indicative of the direction of the dollar, not the euro. Waiting to see if Middle Age says something. And I see a bearish rising wedge on the dollar euro, or euro dollar. Yeah, I hear you. Let's grab a hold of this here. This is curious. Let's just draw what I'm talking about. What I see as curious. So no doubt here and there. Matter of fact, that kind of disrupts it too. You almost have this situation. Then you have this situation, and it's sitting on it now. And if it breaks down here, and we've got Swiss also breaking down, they are really breaking away from each other. A rising bearish wedge in the euro, yeah. This is a lot of noise. In other words, this looks like something like, we don't know what we want to do, let's just go into a channel. You know, something like this, and then like where the red line is, you know, something like that. That would not surprise me if you see, you know, where it gets trapped in this channel. You know, a big, long, resting situation. Look, Christine Lagarde didn't do anything to help out. I mean, if that had been, what's his name, Draghi would have made a statement that would have put excitement into it. Obviously, the euro, let's go back to the euro in the sense of the Chicago Quan. Is that it right there? No, that's the Swiss. Let's put the euro up there. The euro, you know, having a tough day here. You know, it's moving down in 2 days of a buy. And the weekly, notice the weekly is starting to pierce the downside now, right here. Can you see that? Let's see. I think you'll be able to see that. I'm waiting to see if the mouse follows that. Yeah, there you go. So you can see there's pressure on it. I don't know. You know, the euro is all upside down. You know, there's no doubt about it. It is not. You know, it's taking a rest. I think that's the best way to describe it. Yeah, it does. And when the weekly's turning down again, you know, got through the time manifold right here, and then we're like, oh, okay, cool, you know. And then all of a sudden, it's trying to turn down, and then you see the cable turning up against the dollar. So they're buying cable, they're buying Swiss, and they're standing to the side on the euro. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, it's something that we all, as currency traders, want to keep an eye on, is try to understand, are there going to be more problems with the euro that we're not foreseeing at the moment? Is there, you know, they keep on saying that there's going to be this implosion, because Brussels is being governed by bureaucrats and not by elected officials. And so, you know, they keep on saying that there's an implosion to come when it comes to the whole European Union. I kind of doubt totally, since I don't think bureaucrats are willing to make decisions, and there's too many bureaucrats in power to begin with, and I don't see the population getting control over the government. I think that the bureaucrats are going to keep it. So I kind of think we're stuck in the same situation over and over again when it comes to the euro situation. But I think money is moving towards that Swiss pretty clearly, and now, you know, in the old days, money would run towards the Swiss and it would run towards the British pound. You know, it was a natural thing, and then they would, you know, sometimes run against the Deutschmark, you know, run to it when they saw industrial, when they thought they saw any type of inflation thing, there things would get kind of wacko, you know, I mean, you know, that was how that was. So what I mean by wackos, I got, you know, all of a sudden it wasn't following the pattern anymore. So I hope I answered some of that. Does that make any sense, what we're looking at? I'm with you. We're in a discovery situation at the moment. That's how I look at this. This is a discovery thing. You know, this is not like, you know, like as if we exactly know what's happening and can explain it. We can only say the things that we do know. You know, we know that there's a lot of disappointment on Christine Lagarde and the way she's doing things. We know there's a lot of disappointment with the way Brussels makes decisions. We know that. I've done this before. We talked about this. Matter of fact, I'm having a deja vu. I remember saying the same stuff about 4 or 5 years ago. Let's go to J4X a second. J4X is a really good tool to look back at, you know. I'm going to go back to the monthlies. And I'm going to make J4X the whole screen. And I remember having this conversation back in here when we almost went after this area right here. I remember having those same words back in 13 and 14, especially 14 going into 15, where it was a great amount of disappointment on what the European Union was doing. And we saw the euro come down from the 140s down to almost what they call par. There's the 1 mark, I mean, and then it finally did. I mean, did it here and it did it here. There was a lot of disappointment going on during these years. I remember that, doing the webinars and talking about it, and I'm having that for some reason, I'm having that deja vu all over again. It's kind of a little freaky, is that I'm seeing the same disappointment, written about it, actions taken by the government itself, and here we are peaking out right here against that red line thing that's going on. So, yeah, and I know, and you were looking to get involved in it. I know that. I remember you saying that. I think something's wrong. I tell you, one of the old guys that sends me texts, and messages. He's a former chairman of one of the major exchanges. I hear from him a couple times a day, and he's like about 15 years older than me, and so he's like cracking 80, and he said when Christine, I was really surprised because he doesn't really pay attention to currencies that much, and our currency conversations are thin, let's say, a lot more conversations in other parts of the market. And he sent me this message. I was really stunned. It was last week when Lagarde was supposed to speak on, I guess it was Thursday of last week. And out of nowhere, he sent me a message that said, what a big disappointment that was. We were expecting her to say this, and she didn't even say anything about it. And I was like, whoa! I didn't even know that he was. I didn't even know. I didn't even know that he knew her name. And here he's telling me he's disappointed on her decision. So, yeah, we're seeing something here, that's for sure. Something's going on. Not sure exactly what it is, but we know one thing for sure. Money is saying, stand it aside. That's what money is saying. Money is definitely saying, stand it aside. All right. Let's see what is going on there. Let's see. There we go. Let's get rid of that on a monthly now, and let's go back to just a daily. Oh, you got a lot of lines all over the place. And let's make it back down to the normal size. So yes, that's where we are. Stand it aside, traders, when it comes to the euro. We're not exactly sure why it's being the way it is, but it seems to be breaking away from the movement of the other two, the GBP and the Swiss. Yes, indeed. All right. Where do we go from here? We'll come up with something. Let's see. I guess we were doing the Canadian, right? And we pushed ourselves back into this. That's what it was. So let's go over from the Canadian, we go to oil and gold. We take a peek at what's going on with them. So I'm just going to throw Canadian up real quick on the J4X. And we've had it up on the Chicago Quant. We did at one point. Put it back up there again like so. You can see it's been in that sideways action right there. You can see the same thing is happening here. And you can see now the J4X is bottoming with the Chicago Quant and starting to turn up. We got some greens developed there. So now let's take a look at the energy sector. Right there, light sweet crude. Putting on top of the ice cream, light sweet. We'll put the crude oil on the Chicago Quant right there. And that's Bitcoin. Right there. Now we're flirting with a daily sell earlier today. The day quant had been minus. Now it seems to have perked itself back up again. That's why you see. There you go. So you can see that there. Now you can see same time over on J4X. You see the curve. It's got a curve going on with the stochastics, the battling stochastics. Hinky Ashy is still holding on to the green. It takes about another 4 hours before it shifts to the red. And And that is the way we look at, when we go from Canadian, we look at the oil sector, and then we drift over to the stock, the gold, right there. Gold did the head fake also. Tried to give us a signal that it was trying to get into a buy last night. It's still in its sell for 19 days. See it there on the fact check spreadsheet, line 6. Says emphasize that. Line 6 right underneath oil. 7 weeks in a sell, 19 days in a sell. And it hasn't really gone anywhere. That's the problem. It's gone up, it's gone down. Since we've gone into the sell, it's gone higher, then it's gone lower, but not much lower, just touching the low. Then again, you know, higher again, and then low, and now it's down at the low, and we've been in a weekly sell. So unfortunately, that product cannot get out of its own way. That's the central banks squeezing the daylights out of the poor thing. Ta-da! There we are. Now, what are we doing here? Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at the gold. We see it here doing that. You see it here on the J4X. It's trying to turn up. It's been in daily sells now for, and that's the daily too. So our daily sell started up like out in here somewhere, and it's just run up and it's run down, and you know, it's just cannot get any legs into it. That's those central banks across the planet, and in particular our demonstrative beast, the Fed Reserve of the U.S., is basically holding these metals down. Robin was identifying something in the silver's chart on a weekly basis or a quarterly basis. About a week ago, I think I quickly mentioned it here. Robin wasn't too happy to have anybody know about what he was spotting, but in the end result is that that's why I'm not showing you what he sent me. But you know, he was saying this thing is screaming that it wants to be let loose. And he says, and I don't know if it's going to be 1 year, 5 years, or whatever. But he was looking at quarterlies all the way out. Like he was looking at quarterly charts going out about, I don't know, a decade or so. And he said, you can see it here. It's confirming that it's trapped in a range, and it's trapped in this triangle, and that it's trying to get out of its way. And one day it will break out. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We know it's someday the metals are going to be free again. We know that. One day, somewhere along the line, they're going to be free. See, I am staying as I think November beans and deck wheat look better. Oh, yes. Oh, wait, whoa! You got to see that deck wheat today. Oh my God, you got to see the deck wheat. It jumped up. Is it deck wheat or maybe it's here? Check this out. Where's the mouse? Yeah, I was going to mention that if you showed up in here. Here is the SEP wheat. And you can see it's trying to lift up in here, and it's in the weekly buy now for 2 full weeks, going on a 3rd week. And that's the SEP wheat. And let's see, the deck wheat right there, doing the same thing, strength, you know, following through. And what's the red? Let's see what the Kansas City red wheat is doing. But the wheats are really perking up. I find it interesting that the new crop was harvested around here over the last 3-4 weeks, and the prices have only risen, not gone down. And it seemed to coordinate with that crazy move in corn in the expiration day of the futures contract. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go do that again for you. So there's, what is that? That is, which one is that? That's the red wheat, okay? And the red wheat is showing some, you know, nice life. It's trying to lift up today also. But here, let me give you the SEP and the deck wheat. There's the SEP wheat, you know, making that spike up this morning, right? And then we're in the weekly buy. And like I said, due to the new crop harvesting, and that crazy move in corn 3 weeks ago, you have to really wonder how much frustration is going on. And then you check out the back month deck, which is going to be, you know, new crop again, obviously, but even more so, you can see that it's holding up very well also, doing the same thing. And you know, we went into the sell here after going into the buy, and you couldn't be long for this whole move. And it came off the 720s area. And that was the back month, and let me see, and the front month, you know, ran up to the 720s. There's no contango, whatever. Yeah, I know. Remember how I was saying to you a couple days ago, buy the soybeans out of the three? Now it seems like it's screaming that the wheat is the next thing to go after. So, you know, and then currency traders, when you wonder why do we talk about these ancillary products, how's that have anything to do with, pairs trades? What it all comes down to is, now that there's quantitative easing, anything that can be used as a surrogate for the dollar becomes a currency characteristic. You know, it has a currency characteristic to it. And so when they're buying wheat, right, if you're buying it from outside the United States, which a lot of the wheat and the soybeans are bought outside the United States, they have to sell their local currency to buy dollars, or they're short the dollar. And then you see the weakness in the dollar, and you see the rising of the commodity. It tells you what's going on there, that they're using it as a surrogate to be short dollars. Because remember, it's a convoluted situation we're in now. If your central bank sees you selling, you know, going short in dollars, and they can't afford to have that because there's an envelope or a channel that they keep the currencies in nowadays. The Federal Reserve keeps everything is measured. Our U.S. Treasury Department, Mrs. Yellen, comes out and makes an announcement every quarter. Who's manipulating their currency and who is not. So they have to go in and do it through a third party. Third party can be crude oil, it can be gold, it can be soybeans or wheat, anything that trades in large quantities that they can, you know, utilize, they do. And then they can go and use the derivatives, the option derivatives, the binary derivatives, and to hedge themselves at the same time. So they're not really getting long or short wheat in per se. Instead, they're trying to create a short position in the dollar. That's what it comes down to. All right. Let's see. Middle Age says, "Have you? I have to take my son to work. See you tomorrow, Doc. No problem, Middle Age. Oh, do you want to see what's going on with JO? Let me just throw that up there for you. I left it up on the machine. Let's see, where's it at? The stock combo. There it is, right there. There's JO. Also, for those that are watching Apple, we went into a daily sell yesterday and it's moving down again today. But here's JO for you. Looks like, what is that? It doesn't look like they're updating it yet. Maybe they are. There. Oh, okay, yeah. So they're putting pressure on the JO a little bit again. It went into the sell yesterday, but look at that. It's trying to bounce up on our work already. So nothing to take us serious. Bye bye. All right. Now where do we go from here? Let's see. What we'll do is we'll close that. There we go. And we'll jump over to, there's the gold. You know, we've talked. Oh, let's look at silver. Poor silver. Can you imagine? Silver's like 50% down from its all-time highs. At least gold is only like down, I don't know what, 10%, something like that. But silver's down 50% from its all-time highs. And so you can see here, silver just getting pushed around again as usual. Let's see, what else we got going on here? Let's jump over to the ruble. We'll go back to the currency arena. I guess you could say the currency arena, well, just call it the currency arena. We're just heading back over there. You can see the ruble's been moving down slowly. It tried to get into a buy yesterday but failed. And then you can see the weakness is still there, but we're still in the weekly buy. So this is just trapped in, you know, nothing major right there. And then we'd look at the, what do we look at now? Oh, yen, here it is. We look at the yen, that went into a daily sell yesterday. What is that going on there? Oh, okay, that's a candle. It's in the sell, but it's up for the day. See that? And the weekly has, that was a warning last week. I guess we can do that, move that over like that. And the weekly again is flirting with its weekly sell. It's had a nice ride, hasn't it? Went into the buy here, went all the way up here, and now it's trying to push its way back down into the sell. The yen, it just follows its same course as usual. If the dollar is going up, it's going up and losing value, and vice versa. When the dollar is going down, it's gaining value, and so forth. It's pretty much clockwork. What else? Mexican peso. Let's see what's going on with the Mexican peso. Where are you? There you are. That hump was very small that we looked, we thought we might get a little bit more out of it, but due to the fact that the weekly was in a sell, there was really an issue there. Now, you can see here, we're trying to get into a weekly buy. We still have 2 more days, and you can see that pressure that's on it, but we're in the daily sell, and I guess today, whatever Mr. Powell says, is going to alter and shift what's going on. I guess that would be the best way to describe that. I don't think we have any more to say about that than it does seem like, when you really scrunch this thing up, it has been very positive, in the sense of it has a very tight range. It's only pouncing about 1.5 points over the last 9 months. It's doing a good job, or 8 months, whatever it is at this point. It's been doing a fine job. It has not been, making major moves. It's been hugging this thing since December. You had your pop here going into the new year, and they brought it right back into the range again. And then you can see the little pop there. But that's not a lot, really. You're only talking about, half a handle, 3/4 of a handle. This was probably the biggest of the moves right there. And that's pretty much the action we're seeing in the Mexican peso against the dollar. It looks very healthy, really. Now, and maybe a few of you are wondering, what do you mean by healthy? What happens is that when you have a currency that just finds a good solid range, and it's a tight range too, that's healthy, because then there's not as much risk trying to buy or sell currencies. The currency. And one thing you don't want is to have to buy or sell something that's. Look at the Turkish lira. Turkish lira has fallen into a nice range, but look at the calamity of it over the time frame. This product went from the. See how far back it goes, but this product. Let's see if we can do this. There we go. This product was in the 1.5, 2 area. It goes back to where we're at now. That's back to 2019. It was trading in the 5.5 area. Now it's trading in the 8.5 area. That's very inflationary. There's a lot of problems there when you have that happen. That's really tough. Almost doubling in price. When you look at the Mexican peso, and it's just bouncing between 21 and like 19.75. That's a really nice tight range. Everybody would like to have that. Let's see how the South African rand's going. It's more of a picture of what's going on with Mr. Zuma than it is anything else at this point. It has nothing to do with the metals complex. It's rising again, so it's going up, and gold should be going hard down, and gold is going nowhere but sideways, as you can see on J4X right here. I'm glad I have that up still. There it is. It's pretty much going nowhere. Let's make it bigger. Now, it is doing the sideways down, what it should be doing, as the South African rand is going up. Oop, that's the wrong one. As the South African rand is going up in value, gold is dropping, I guess you could say, in some very minuscule way, but it is holding the pattern. But again, we are watching the Zuma show at this point, whatever he does. Because if he makes his people back off, then we would be seeing more metal-related trades. All right, let's see that. So that's what we've done: the Mexican peso, the South African rand, the Russian ruble, and what was the other one we did? Mexican peso. Oh, Japanese yen. So we've done that side of the currency pairs. And if anybody wants to see anything, just shout it out. Just throw it on there. You don't have to talk to me. Just put up the symbol. We'll go check it out. I won't ask any questions. Let me think. What else we got here? I guess that's about it. I don't see anything else jumping out at us. Oh, let's just take a look at the Euro GBP. And you can see here, that's been in the sell. That's a tip-off. That's why I watched that on the spreadsheet, you know, where it's moving down, and the euro is moving sideways, and the cable's moving up. Yeah, we're like 4 days into it now, so it just keeps on pushing along. Matter of fact, I think it says 3 on there, and it should be say 4. Foul. There it is. Just going to give it a save real quick like that. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to drift over to the stock indices. Let's see what the stock indices are doing. Sometimes we go over to the metals complex. Let's just I have an idea. I just want to take a quick look at copper. Because copper caught my eye. There it is right there. It had jumped up. We went into the weekly buy. We were in the daily buy. It went from the 420s to 460s. And now it's pressing into the sell here today. You see that action right there. You can widen out a little bit. But it's still in a weekly buy, so I wouldn't be too fast to run away. Something's going on there. There's definitely buying in that. Let's see what they're doing with the platinum. Take a look at all the metal complex there. Platinum right there. The October platinum, it's been trapped in the 1060s area. Now it's at 1047, and gold is trading on J4X there at so you subtract 1047 from 797, and you got 750. So it's just sitting there on that 7.5 area, and the pairs trade is just kind of quiet at the moment. Stuck in the middle of the whole range. I mean, we went bearish on it at 1050, 1051 to be exact, and fell down to 474, and now it's sitting at 7.5 in the middle. All right, let's see. Oh, natural gas caught my eye. That also tried to push into the sell yesterday, but you can see today it's still in the sell, but they're giving us a volatility signal. This thing's an animal. This thing's going from the 180 or 260 or I don't know, something like that. Where's it coming? I mean, it went into the weekly buy. Where's that at? The weekly buy was down in the 260, 270s, 280 area, right in there. And it's going up to 480? No, 408. Okay. So, I mean, that's a heck of a move. It's really making a strong dash on the upside. No looking back, traders, on that one, is it? It's the first time in half a decade that it's this high up. Matter of fact, let's look on it on J4X. They have the natural gas on there. You can look at it there. Nat gas. Is that it? I think that might be it. Yeah, that is. So, now let's put a quarterly up there of it. Monthly. Let's do it monthly. You can see, last time this thing was up there was in 2018. 3.5 years ago. You know, they're making the challenge to these two big points there. Cool, huh? So, what else we got brewing here? Don't really have much more in my head. Anybody have anything particular? If not, we're going to take a quick look at the stock indices and then we'll get out of here. The Tech 100 on Dukascopy, or referred to as the NASDAQ 100, either way. You can see it's bouncing back from what it did yesterday. It's still in a sell though, but in a weekly buy. And then the S&P 500, oh, now they've got a green dot there. This morning when we sent it out, there was no green dot. So it was 2 days of no dots at all. In this case here, you know, it's in a daily buy, even with that sell-off, and it's just lifting back up, and it's in a weekly buy. So there's no real pressure on this product either. Then we look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, same situation. You know, just buying, no selling. There's, like I said, there's tons of equity out there begging to go somewhere. They've got to do something with it. They're paid to manage it. They got to do something. And you can see here on the Russell 2000, as much as it, you know, that big drop last Monday, you know, 10 days back, what you see here is it bounced up and now it's stuck. It's trapped, it's developing part of that downwardly slope. Maybe signs of weakness to come. Maybe that's the best way to describe that. All right, traders, we're out of here. Happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be Thursday. Happy trails to you, to all our Dukascopy trading friends. Ta-ta.